Hey everybody, kids. I want to talk about the Abbott 5-minute COVID-19 test and what does that all mean. Okay, so if you saw the press conference on Monday night, March 30, you saw the little white box. As the Abbott guy was talking, President Trump was taking it out of the box and opening it up, and it looked like a trade show thing. It literally looked like an introduction of a product. So here's what I see going on. One of the questions, they were talking about 100,000 or 10,000 a day or 50,000 numbers of tests. Okay, well, that's numbers of tests. I want to know how many boxes they have out there because, this thing has the potential, it could be a big factor in us going back to work. Being able to test on a regular basis, ideally every day, every person, you go to work, you get tested, and if you don't have the disease, you're safe. If not, you do. I'm not saying we would or should implement something like that. I'm just saying that the possibility is out there. So I took a look at it to see what I could learn about this device and, what's happening. Okay, so what is this Abbott testing system? The white box, I'm seeing it by two names. ID Now seems to be a brand name, but I'm also looking at a press release on March 18th that seems to be referring to it as the real-time M2000 device system. So right now they have 175 of those boxes. So the boxes have already been in use. Okay, the emergency use authorization by the FDA was not necessarily for the box. It's already out there. So 175 in hospitals and labs, which is not a whole lot. We have 5,000 plus hospitals in the U.S. But they claim that in this March 18th press release that they plan to deploy an additional 2,000 of them wherever they're needed. So that's not enough, one for every hospital, but yeah, that's good. That's good. So the test, so these things are already out there, these devices. So what did they approve? They approved apparently the device and potentially different software, potentially different chemicals, but they approved the device for use to test. So the company Abbott took this existing device, they developed a way of using the device to test for COVID-19, and then the FDA has approved that. So when they talk about 5,000, 10,000 tests, 50,000 tests, I think the number is 150, they're talking about numbers of tests. Okay, not numbers of units. So, they're talking about the throughput of the devices. So, it's a little misleading. I mean, I guess it's good if you want to tout how many tests we're doing. But to me, the important thing is how many of these things are out there and who has access to them. So, it's a 5-minute test for they say as low as 5 minutes for a positive and 13 minutes for a negative. And the way I understand it, this is a molecular test. So the genetic material of the coronavirus is an RNA material. And apparently there's less RNA than if it was a DNA, as low as one strand. So this device uses a chemical to strip out that RNA, could be as low as one strand, and then the device with the chemicals, whatever, replicates that RNA so you have more of them, so then they can detect it and precisely detect the presence of the virus. Now, from what I'm gathering, these tests, you have to have a positive and a negative. In some cases, they would test for a positive for something, but it could be the flu, it could be, then they would test you for maybe if you test positive number one, then they test you for the influenza, and if you're negative, they surmise that it's COVID. If so there's got to be so at any rate, my point being, this one is precisely looking at the genetic material, which is what some of the labs have been doing, but this does it right there, real time, piece of equipment on the desk, instead of sending a sample out to the labs. So this is really good news. Hopefully my explanation has helped you understand some of the numbers that are involved, and the claims that we got it through the FDA process quicker, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Trump did anything. I mean, he didn't drain the swamp, and he didn't circumvent important controls either. It's a mechanism that was already in place called the Emergency Use Authorization that the manufacturer, Abbott, FDA, already knew about it. Nobody was reporting it, okay? So we, the people, knew nothing about this, but regardless of what the president said or did, regardless of what the press reported, and regardless of any of that, this stuff was happening. Okay, this stuff was already in process, and so there you have it. That's America, right? Not government. The question is not what is the government doing. The question is what are we doing? And this is big. This could now obviously the rollout of this has to be much broader if you want to say so for example, theoretically, if we had this in every household or every neighborhood or every workplace, we could possibly go to work right now with something like this. But but that's not reality. Still, it really helps us to track the R0 and know where the virus is going and things like that by having more tests. So very, very positive development.